Final Fantasy VII Remake team are urgently hiring. They're not. Oh, the game's not coming out until 2022 now. Oh, look at Square Enix. They're in disarray. They're in disarray. It's crazy what the fan base will get themselves worked. They will get themselves worked up over anything at this point, especially when it comes to the 7 Remake. But all it simply was Siliconera came and said that Square Enix are looking to hire as much staff as possible. And you also had quotes from the likes of Nomura on this, Kitase, Nojime. You've got a lot of the original FF7 staff as well, and I've always liked that. I like how much of the original FF7 team are now working on the 7 Remake. But they simply came out to say the number of domestic staff is significantly lower compared to that of foreign high definition developers. Therefore, in order to further strengthen the development of this title, we must urgently recruit as much staff as possible. Now, I'm going to admit that is pretty bold. It is pretty out there for Square Enix to come forward and so openly declare that they need as much staff as possible. It's not really happened that often before. Square Enix typically keep their recruiting fairly on the hush-hush, so I can kind of understand why this has made some people go, whoa. No, what does this mean? This doesn't sound good, Pez. I'll even have the thumbnail saying something like, should we panic? To which I say, no. Simply no. No, there's no reason to panic. This doesn't mean anything ominous. In fact, when I read this, I was fairly like this, because we've seen that with all of Final Fantasy mainline projects, the recruitment does ramp up towards the latter sections of the development. Now, no, because the development curve will go like this. It'll go up, and then admittedly towards the very, very end, it will begin to peak down again. We saw that with FF15. At its peak, there were about 300 people working on FF15, and it hit its maximum peak, and pretty much how all Final Fantasy games have been getting developed, they more or less follow roughly the same blueprint. It reaches its peak around the point that the QA team and the QA testers, which is a major bulk of the team once that lot come on, that's when the stuff will hit its peak. It's that little niche section there where parts of the game are now getting completed and you need the QA team to rough out the edges, but the back end hasn't always fallen off at this point. Sometimes you still got your concept teams, your concept artists, your initial programmers, your region designers, and that's when it's going to be really bulky. And I think we pretty much know they've hit that stage when they've said that we've almost finished the opening bombing section. And not just finished it, they said they had almost refined it completely, 100% finished it. So they are most definitely at this stage. And FF15 ramped up like that. Even as FF15 ramped up, they worked with nearly 200 external companies. It was crazy. So if anything, while as most of the fan base are looking at this and going, oh my goodness, this is 2027 at least now, actually it means completely the opposite. It actually is a good sign. And even if I'm wrong, even if there is still a monumental amount of work to do, let's say they're only 40% of the way through, why would this worry people? It makes no sense. Why would this worry people? If Nomura and Kitase are, oh god, we need as many people as possible. I'm going to go to Siliconera and Gamatsu, I'm going to make statements. Kitase, you go down the street, grab as many homeless people as you can, round them up. Let's go, 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 go. This game needs to get out the door. It needs to get out the door. When the president of a company says to a business division, you have the green light to hire as many people as possible, that's a good sign. That tells me that Matsuda, that Square Enix, want this out the door quick. This is the gloves are off statement. They ain't fucking about. They want as many people as possible. They want to have this out the door by as quick as possible. So I don't get it. I don't get how people can see things like this and just go on huge negativity rants. I really don't get fans' logic at times. Now, I can't say that everything I'm saying is guaranteed, that I'm 100% correct. Of course, I'm making assumptions as well that this isn't an issue, and that I don't think the 7 Remake is in a condition. But for all I know, those people who are saying that the 7 Remake is in an absolute shit state right now, they could be right. Perhaps it won't come until 2019. It's wholly possible, but it's the assumptions. When I look in the comment section, I see some of the angriest, rantiest comments based on pure assumption. And I know I saw this yesterday with the FF15 DLCs, people making pure assumptions that they're only going to do one of those 7 DLCs. We have no idea. They could do multiple of them. They could do 2, they could do 3. And then combining that with the sheer number of people who are coming forward saying, why don't they do all 7 of those DLCs? It should have been in the game originally anyway. Oh, some people could be so stupid. Some people can be so stupid. I understand wanting all the DLCs. I want all the DLCs. But to say it should have been in the original 13 FF15 DLCs. If I look at all of those, it would easily be 300 plus hours of mainline with 500 plus hours of optional content. How can anyone say that should be in the original game? How can anyone come forward to me say, Pez, I understand about time constraints. I understand why they're doing DLCs. But now I want all of these 7 DLCs and I want them by the year. I've heard that. How can you say... I don't know how I've detoured onto an FF15 rant, by the way, but... how can you say you understand time and resource constraints as to why there's DLC, but then say you want all 7 by the end of the year? That's a totally contradicting statement, because that means you don't understand the resources involved in creating these DLCs and creating stuff. Any kind of stuff in FF15. It's intensive. So combining all of that yesterday with all of this today... oh, come on. I mean, I love Final Fantasy fans. I think we might be one of the best fan bases, or I personally think it one of the best fan bases. But there were definitely times we could be the fucking dumbest. They're so damn dense at times. One of the great examples of that was why the 7 Remake has to be episodic. How few people could wrap their head around why it has to be episodic. Why a 1997 text-based D-scale game with over 500 environments, more cutscenes than you could shake a stick at, why that wouldn't fit in the parameters of a 40-hour game. If you sit and think about it for longer than 5 seconds, I really don't think it's that hard to understand. And you know, it's the same with this urgently going out to recruit. It's just a lot of knee-jerk reacting. Knee-jerk reacts all day, every day. So I don't inherently think this is bad. I don't inherently think it's an issue. Even if it is, I'd say this article is kind of proof that they're looking to fix it. So either way, this article is positive. But rounding out with one thing that I did find quite interesting was this Naoki Hamaguchi. Now, I wasn't even aware, but he's come on board as the 7 Remake development leader. For anyone who doesn't know who he is and wants to know who their beloved remake is now in the hands of, he was a visual effects real-time rendering manager on FF12. Then a lead event programmer and Crystal Tools development staff member on 13, lead application programmer on 13.2, main programmer on Lightning Returns, and he is the director of Mobius. So he's only been on board since 2006, and he clearly shines in the tech and engine department. So how do I feel about this guy being on board as the remake development leader? Okay, he wasn't there on the original, but I kind of knew this would happen. This is the thing. I spoke about Nomura and what I think of him as a director, and so many people came forward and say, Pez, you're wrong about him, Pez. He's not better as a creative director than he is a director, even though that's what Nomura himself said. People were actually arguing against that, and they were saying, well, you're clearly wrong because look, he's now the director of 7 Remake. And I remember saying to people at the time, he isn't going to be the director of this game. He might be titled as it, he might dip in and out of the role, but I can guarantee Nomura will work as a creative director, and Square Enix will give him a lot of staff. They will give him a lot of support for the 7 Remake, which is exactly what Nomura has needed. I'm going to say, I'm not blaming Nomura. Nomura is fantastic what he does, but Square Enix for way too long have put too much pressure, left him on his own, not given him the team and the staff that he needs. So I said they will not make that mistake again, and it looks like I was right, because they've given him Kitase, they've given him Nojime. There was that article a while back that they pulled a guy from Business Division 4, and he came on board in quite a significant role. And now there is this. Now there is Naoki Hamaguchi taking up the mantle of remake development leader, a role that Nomura has typically said he doesn't like to do. He hates to do it. He hates to organize staff and organize people and be the boss, and he will do it, quote, if he has to. So when I look, so this is great, this is fantastic, this is a structure I've always said they should have. When I look at the staff involved, how they're going about it, and now that I see Matsuda is absolutely lighting the fire up Business Divisions 1 arse by saying get as many people as possible, I see nothing but positives and good things. I hope E3 shows us a fantastic trailer, and I really don't think that 7 Remake is off the table for 2018, hopefully early 2018 release. But anyone saying 2020, 2022 based on this article, you're just being fucking ridiculous. Oh god, I hope I'm not wrong about this. I'm going to look like a right old tit if it doesn't come out until 2019 now. Until the next video, guys. Kubo!